We're here with Vinnie Mirchandani. He's author of SAP Nation 3.0. The book is a sequel to his first book, which looked at the SAP economy. SAP is one of the larger enterprise software companies. Welcome, Vinnie.
Well, Larry, first of all, thanks for having me.
I guess to start off, can you give us first give us a history lesson of what's changed from the first book to the second book?
So I wrote the first book about 5 years ago. And I wrote that because I was very concerned about the cost of SAP projects, the failure rates, and so on. And that was really a modeling of the ecosystem around SAP. And so, I looked at all the integrator costs, all the end user costs, all the software costs. And the total SAP Nation GDP, if you will, was as big as the country of Ireland. Okay, so it got a lot of people concerned about how much they were spending on SAP, and I've seen the impact of that on customer behavior quite a bit. So 5 years later, I was getting requests for, hey, you need to update it, and I said, well, if anything, I would think SAP is in worse shape. They've been so focused on HANA, their database, they have a best focused on applications. Oracle's been developing Fusion for 15 years. Salesforce has all kinds of momentum. Workday has all kinds of momentum. I was almost afraid to start this project. And amazingly, it blew me away how much SAP has delivered in terms of new product. So they have a new ERP product, S4HANA. They have a new set of consumer CRM products called C4HANA. They've got all their cloud properties, Ariba, SuccessFactors, etc. They've got a cloud platform. They've got the Leonardo machine learning. They've got Leonardo IoT, on and on and on. I mean, they probably launched more products than anybody in the whole industry, not just software. So I was blown away by how many new products they have delivered.
Now, is that due to the cloud?
Well, some of it is acquired, some of it is developed. I mean, it's a combination. But Larry, just as striking, I was shocked at how little the competition's done. In a year, SAP was on the ropes, and they could have all ganged up and delivered a knockout punch. And Oracle, even after 15 years, their application business just isn't that robust. Salesforce with the ecosystem hasn't done a whole bunch beyond CRM. Workday is only focused on accounting and HR. Infor was supposed to be all about micro verticals. They really haven't delivered vertical functionality. The third-party maintenance vendors, Rimini, Spinnaker, and so on, have made a dent, but they really haven't, made a huge dent. So in total, I don't think the competition's done as much. And if anything, SAP's come out, it has 50% more customers now than it did 5 years ago. So I was like, wow, this is kind of a hidden story that nobody's talking about. SAP is really in the middle of a massive turnaround. So that's the story of the last 5 years. In addition, I looked at the last 20 years of enterprise software. So in 2000 or late 90s, Oracle, SAP, IBM, HP were on top of the world, right? Y2K, and then the European Union, the common currency, all those were major drivers for business for these guys. So they were top of the heap. If you look at the 20 years, Google didn't exist back then. Apple was on the ropes. You find today, Apple and Google have many times the revenue of SAP or Oracle or some of the other enterprise vendors. So that's the other big story that the book brings out is how many markets these guys missed out on. Everything from smart products to digital marketing to cloud infrastructure to just on and on and on. I've got about 8 markets that these big guys missed out on. Now, those markets are not closed. So SAP has, to me, 2 big opportunities in front of it. One is it's got 400,000 customers now. Most of them are on-premise. They're on ECC for ERP. They're on Business Warehouse for analytics. There's so many new products. So moving this old legacy on-premise crowd to their cloud and in-memory solutions is the first big opportunity.
What do you think are the variables to moving the customer base to the cloud? I mean, after all, like if you're one of these companies that aren't upgrading quickly, you're likely to move to the cloud and evaluate not SAP, but a bunch of other vendors too.
I did, and here's the thing: is it's not just SAP. I classified the customer base into 4 broad categories. So I have risk takers, which is about 5% of the customer base that are adopting Leonardo IoT, Leonardo machine learning, S4 in the cloud. So they're leading edge customers. The second wave is what I call modernizers. So they're moving to S4, but they're doing it on premise. They're kind of doing it grudgingly. They're sticking to the old GUI. So they are doing just enough. The third category is what I call diversifiers. They're sticking with old SAP products, but ring fencing SAP with Salesforce and Workday, or moving to third-party maintenance. So they're doing something. The fourth category is what I call bystanders. They're doing nothing. They're sending maintenance checks. So I thought that would be unique to SAP. When I looked at Oracle, the bystanders are actually a larger number. When I looked at Infor, an even larger number. Okay, so it's not like SAP moving their bystanders to its new products. Yes, they'll look around, but they're not exactly going to go to Oracle when Oracle is struggling to convert its own legacy customer base. It's certainly not going to go to Infor when Infor is not having much success. So it's kind of bizarre in that sense.
Why do you think these bystanders exist, and how will they survive?
Many reasons, Larry. Part of it is these vendors have not been very good to their customers, right? A lot of audits, and SAP's had an issue called indirect access. The muscle memory of the last implementation was painful, right? So ERP is never fun to do. So it's like, if I can push it back as much as possible, I will. Now, here's the flip side. I talked to several CIOs who go, it's increasingly difficult to recruit to an AVAP and basis work, just as it is to recruit to a Siebel and PeopleSoft world. So recruiting is becoming an issue. Many of these legacy systems are heavily customized, so they have security, compliance, and other risks, and yet they just want to push it back as much as possible. Which is partly muscle memory, partly behavior of the vendors, partly inertia, many different reasons. So, for SAP to be able to convert them, they're going to have to change behavior. They're going to have to make it a lot more easy. They're going to have to manage their systems integrators to not go through the same rigmarole they did the last time. It's a complex migration. It's not just develop something automated and move them over. Behaviors have to change, business models have to change, and so on.
Do you think that if these customers basically postpone this forever, they eventually get a greenfield where they can start over completely?
They may have to, but that's not going to be easy either, right?
Right.
Move things over, we start all over again. At least SAP can deliver some level of automation in terms of they go in, they can look at your custom code and say, this will break in the move. They can convert your master data over. At least there's some automation, right? There's some comfort in moving to a place where other customers have moved rather than look at something brand new, from Oracle or from a startup, right? So some of those factors benefit an incumbent vendor. But, the reality is customers are fairly annoyed with the experience. It hasn't been a very happy experience.
So what are you advising your clients to do exactly? You negotiate a lot of deals, and so what are you telling these bystanders?
Well, so the book has 35 case studies. Right? Some of them are moving to S4 in the cloud. Some of them are moving to S4 on-premise. Some of them are doing Leonardo machine learning. There's so many different strategies that, in fact, I'm recommending to a number of clients, look at SAP afresh. I was surprised at how much it's changed in 5 years. You're probably going to be surprised. So look at it from available solutions, but also look at it as a talent move, right? So you got to look at your talent base and say, is this mostly an ABAP-centric talent? How are they going to fit in the new world of Python and new world of open source platform and so on? So I'm advising a 2-3 day, very hands-on workshop to start with, to focus on some of the big changes that are happening in the SAP world. And for many of them, it may be SAP is not the right solution. Look at other alternatives, but do something. Don't just keep sending checks and just hope that something new will arrive in a few years, because it's hurting your ability to recruit. It's hurting you in a number of different ways.
Do you think those fat maintenance checks that Oracle and SAP have been collecting, do you think that's created sort of an innovator's dilemma that's really given the field to AWS and Google and Microsoft?
Partly that, but also partly, it's kind of funny, Larry, how Wall Street encourages you to specialize up to a point. So many of these were like, we're software players. Well, Google doesn't think that way. Amazon doesn't think that way. If they have to invest in infrastructure, they do, right? So many of these guys have been pure software players, when in fact, broader network and infrastructure investment would have been more advisable for them. Or look at new markets, right? So the whole product engineering market, the smart products, Foxconn and Flex and, Johnny Ive at Apple, new design shops benefited from that whole massive market. These guys saw nothing from that. And you look at digital advertising, to Google and Facebook to take it from 0 to 150 billion just about in 15 years. These guys talk CRM, they completely missed that market. So
right.
Little too focused, too myopic.
What's next for SAP? What do you see as their challenges and opportunities ahead?
Well, I would say, from an enterprise applications perspective, they're probably, I don't think I would say this a year ago, they're probably the best position. Because in the case studies, I found customers in different countries, in different industries, in different business processes. The breadth of applications that they can develop and support is unchallenged. So from an applications perspective, they have nothing but white space to go after. And unfortunately, they've been, again, listening to Wall Street. They covered what Workday is doing. They covered what Salesforce is doing. They have the biggest customer base in the world, 400,000 customers in every industry, in every geography. So it's up to them to just go back to these customers, win them over, and say, I can help you with any application you can think of in the enterprise, right? So it's theirs for the taking. It's theirs for the mining. So I'm fairly confident in their ability or their potential, whether they can stay focused, whether they can continue to avoid what I call unforced errors. They've made several unforced errors in the last few years. Like the too much focus on HANA, too little emphasis on verticals, indirect access audits. These are things that SAP itself came up with. Nobody forced them to do that, right? So they can avoid some of the unforced errors. They actually have a lot of opportunity ahead. This when, Oracle is distracted by Amazon, they're into infrastructure as a service. Salesforce, is almost too focused on CRM. Their ecosystem really isn't doing a whole bunch. So the competition is not that strong.
Is there anything I didn't ask that I should have?
Well, one of the other things I looked at was, as I was looking at the 20-year evolution, was how has talent been changing? And what's amazing is there are developer communities, as you know, in all kinds of parts of the world. So China is developing a massive machine learning developer community. Europe has been developing behind IoT and Industry 4.0, a very Internet of Things-based developer community. The open source being part of every platform now is generating a whole bunch of new communities, right? So I think everybody, whether it be employers who are implementing SAP, supporting SAP, but also the systems integrators and the developers community around them, are going through a lot of changes. They're going to go through a lot of changes in the next few years. SAP is having a layoff right now. And I'm telling people, look, this is just the start. It's going to happen to every vendor. It's going to happen to every integrator. It's going to happen to every developer community. We're just moving into a whole new world where, people with Python skills, people with, a whole bunch of other open source skills that employers hadn't been used to, they're going to have to get used to.
All right, Vinnie, thanks for joining us today. To learn more about SAP, check out ZDNet.com. And to learn more about SAP Nation 3.0, you'll see a post on ZDNet where Vinnie talks about the book and things to look out for in the enterprise software space.